self-proclaimed human robot and guru of artificial intelligence, an illusion created by groups of neurons running programs, just like a computer.
In my book, The Society of Mind, I talked about the self as a fiction that we maintain for various purposes. And that's right. I think there is no self in the sense that there's no little person inside you that's making your decisions. But the fiction itself is very important. We maintain all sorts of images and ideals of what we might be like. Not just one, but many, and they switch from one occasion to another, so that when you're in a serious conversation with your peers, there's one kind of self you like to put up. You might want to be very neat and diligent, and in another situation where you're in a sport, maybe you would like to project an image of yourself as fierce and therefore dangerous. So I think we just have thoughts and complicated representations of ourselves, but they're not true generally. So when I say, I'll tell you what my feelings about something are, I'm just making it up. It's connected with my feelings, but I have no direct access. There's no way I really feel that I'm trying to describe. There are different parts of my brain feel different ways.
So what Marvin is saying is that if I step back from myself, then this guy who's talking about his feelings is actually a kind of fiction. It doesn't have really anything to do with him. And if I step back from this and become the Baroque fiction, I mean, I really don't. What am I? I'm just the unwritten thought of a fictional character.
The reason we invent selves is we make lots of rules for unimportant things and stop thinking about them. Because if you were to think about whether to put your left shoe on first or your right, well, it wouldn't make any difference, would it? And so many of the things that we believe most firmly about ourselves become true, but they're of no significance. There are millions of them, so because there are millions of things that you adopt that become part of your behavior,
which is a whole bunch of little traits.
A whole bunch of little traits. And traits are very useful because they make you predictable, not just for other people, but for yourself. And it's very useful to fall into patterns, just so you don't waste time on trivia. And then when a philosopher says, well, there seems to be this core, there's a thing in there that's making decisions, and it seems coherent and orderly, and it can't be physical, and a machine couldn't have it, the answer is, that's garbage. The reason it's hard to put it in a machine because it has millions of little parts, and none of them are very important, but it's just important to have them, or else you won't function.
So was the meanness of me really just a coherent fiction that my mind had constructed from my memories? A fiction that a fictional I then naively believed was the meanness of me? Almost as if a character in a story started to believe it was real. If the self was, like Minsky said, what you believed in, then I'd actually met someone who believed that her self had cracked up into pieces. Someone whose narrative had unravelled. She and her doctor believed that in her head she had 12 quite separate people. Sometimes she was a 3-year-old called Heidi. Sometimes the flamboyant Jezebel. And no one of them was in charge. The day I met her, she was Becky.
Now, I woke up 2 or 3 in the morning, and this is what was going on. All these phrases were going in my mind at the same time. Well, this is what the conversation would be. One would be to watch TV. One will say they want to die. One will want to do artwork. And this is 2 or 3 in the morning now. And one will say, make hats for teddy bears. And I'm tired and thinking about...
But it's like this one doesn't hear that one. They're separate.
Right, and one wants to read books, and one wants to help do puzzles.
In Becky's case, she has about a dozen personalities, and they're all in separate little boxes. All right? And what I'm trying to do is to break it down so that the walls that separate these different compartments of her, instead of being concrete, eventually get smaller and smaller and smaller, so that she can look over the edge, they can converse with each other, and then they can give each other each of their strengths at the time where one of those personalities is out and desperately needs the assistance of another personality.
And they're all going off at the same time, but they're not making any sense. And see, if I can't do all of this in one span. And it's not like making a list, because they're like arguing. All wanting to do it at the same time, and they're having a big time, and then I'm
they're
exhausted.
sort of competing for
for dominance.
For dominance.
And then it's like my head short circuits. And then I just here I have some clothes that I never wear, and I don't even know why I got them. Now this, I never wear this. It's real chic. I haven't even seen that in that. Some kind of pajama top or something, I guess, or evening
You've got no recall of ever buying
I never wore it.
You never wore it?
I don't think I have.
Well, as far as you're concerned,
you've never seen it?
No. Never in the open.
No.
Well, so
and it's still...
As far as you're concerned, it just... One day it appeared here in the...
It's there, and I don't know why it's there.
Could this red outfit be... part of the Jezebel?
Could be, I would think so.
Jezebel's a very flashy, flirtatious woman.
Yeah, it's risque. That's what Doris calls her, risque.
When one altar moves out and another altar moves in, what's that called?
Shifting.
A shift.
Yeah, I call it shifting.
A personality shift.
There you go.
Jibom.
One personality may be selectively just remembering specific types of memories, maybe fearful memories. Now what happens is, when one of these personalities comes out, because of a trigger that brings forth those types of memories, this personality then is kind of stuck with the feelings of fear and inadequacy and can't move on. You and I might be able to go back to our memory banks and say, well, listen, I remember when I was able to do something very creative with another difficulty in my life, and we can sort of comfort and console ourselves, and we can get on with it. Folks with this disorder cannot.
See, it's kind of like epilepsy. You don't know when a person's going to have a seizure.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, it's like this. I never know when I'm going to shift.
Right. There's no you who's got any control over
at this moment.
Which one's going to focus in.
Mm-mm.
In the treatment that you do, is there any sense in which you're trying to develop in the patient some kind of referee or MC, some sort of chat show host, some sort of anchor?
Well, absolutely.
Yeah.
In this field, we call them the internal self-helper.
The internal self-helper.
Right. And this is usually a personality that is privy to some of the memories and has the ear of the other personalities, so that it can begin to step in at times and say, you know, that internal self-helper may say, Olivia is feeling a particular way, and here's what we need to do to help Olivia.
I thought she was really quite terrific, Becky. I mean, what was very exciting was that she was naturally coming out with notions that Minsky had come out with. I mean, he's talking about the neuronal connections and the different ones coming into focus or into dominance. And that's exactly what she was talking about. It's as if that really her only problem is that she hasn't got her connections. She's got. I mean, these different personalities or alters, as they're called. I mean, I think we've all got those. It's just that we've got ours connected to each other. They've become unplugged. If the meanness of me was a fiction of memories, I began to wonder, did that mean I could alter that fiction? As if a character in a story could step off the page and rewrite its own narrative. Could I find a way inside my mind to alter things? That's when I began to understand the strangest man I'd met on my journey.